Welcome back, everyone. So we're going to take a quick look at the updates on the ships. So quite a few updates to cover today. So sorry if this runs a bit long. So here we are with the three ships that have been released. Obviously, the Paladin, the Stinger, and the Gray's Market Shiv. I was very impressed with the Shiv. It's a ship that during CitizenCon Direct I had no interest in, except for I like the VTOLs. But my first take was like, I'm not getting that, and then it's something that kind of grew on me a bit. So I think that's been overall one of the bigger winners. The Stinger is still a bit of a disappointment, and the Paladin just needs some love. Still some bugs with it as far as missiles are concerned. You're able to get a red cockpit even from like size one missiles, so it's unfortunate that it still needs a bit of love to get it up and running. So this is a picture, obviously, of the Aurora. So the Hammerhead and the Aurora are both still going through they call it modern standards instead of calling it the gold standard. So, but they're still being modernized, if you will. So I do like the idea of the blast doors being added. So possibly things like with the new engineering, right? The engineering coming out recently, in preview, right? So the idea though that it's coming, having blast doors that you can bring down to put out fires and stuff would be really cool. I'm very excited for that. If that's going to be an option, I don't see why not. As in most sci-fi films, they do offer that as an option to put fires out, and even in submarines, I think they do the same thing. I think for real ships, right? At least they do for flood issues, right? But I don't know if they do the same thing for fire. Probably not fire, I guess, but they do definitely for flooding. Update components as well. The Hammerhead would be the first ship that actually has access to the size 3 components. I don't know how that'll play out, as currently the Asgard has the size 3 shield, but it's not able to be pulled out even when the stuff's unlocked. So I don't know if the components are they're it's weird because they're physicalized because you can get them in like contested zones and stuff, but for whatever reason you can't actually pull the component out in the Asgard as far as that shield's concerned. Aurora again, VFS update. You can see the paint here. This looks a bit different than originally did, so I'll be interested to see if they have some new paints for it. Ideally, they give some of these paints over to the owners of it. That'd be ideal. Hull B is currently in production, preparing through the white box phase, which is cool. Final touches to move into gray box. So more than likely, we'll see that possibly as early as next year or early next year, maybe into Fleet Week. I hope they don't hold it that long, but at 140, that's going to be an upgrade option you might want to look into during IAE, because it'll probably be the last opportunity or one of the few last opportunities to buy it. I suspect it'll be the last opportunity to buy it before it comes out, and it'll go up in price. So just be mindful of that. If you're interested in the Hull B at all, that'll be probably the king in that particular SCU area at its price point, and that price will only go up from there. So I think that's going to be a win. If you're interested in it at all, then I would pick up a CCU for that at least, or you can just pick it up in general. You should be able to pick it up for a 10-year. If you're interested in that over LTI, then you can do that during IAE as well. Ironclad models are being worked on, as well as the command modules. The command module, I say modules because it also includes the ironclads, as well as the obviously you'll get that for the other Drake ships that use it as well. Caterpillar, I was blanking on the name right there. There's a lot of names to remember and things. So here we are. It's progressing through gray box, which is very exciting. I think that means we'll probably see it during Fleet Week, which would put it 2 years after it originally was announced. So that'll be pretty cool. Lighting updates, module kits. So I think this is a picture of it here. I suspect this might be leading up to, I was going to call it the command area. It's more command deck, if you will. It's not the command module itself, but the area right over the top of the bay where they do the loading and unloading kind of commander area. I hope that they reconsider being able to fly from here. I know they specifically said they don't want to do that, but it would be cool to be able to fly from this commander area. I think that's what this is, and this stairway I think would lead down to the stairs associated with that same walkway. So yeah, that same cargo on both sides. 4 unannounced ships. So we do have an idea with recent leaks about some of these ships that'll be coming along. So we obviously know, like the Perseus, the Hermes is a ship that'll be an Apollo variant. That's going to be worked on as well. That'll be discussed a little bit here. So I'll show some pictures of that here. So you can see here is some leaked images for that. So I guess leak here. Sorry. I guess you don't want to see this, skip ahead a bit. But this is going to be possibly the door in the back here, a bit of an adjustment from what it was before. And then also this would be the cargo section here being opened up as well. So originally it was the medical sections here, but they're going to change it to a cargo section. I don't know how they honestly make the Hermes super exciting option, given that it's the same size as the Taurus, and I I highly doubt it'll beat the Taurus in price. So I look forward to it if it can be competitive with the Taurus, or I can see them raising the price on the Taurus as well. So be mindful of that. If you like the Taurus at all, you may want to consider getting a CC for it, as they may make the Taurus more expensive than it has been in the past. Given that the Hermes comes out, it will be too competitive just to get the Taurus over the Hermes almost at every turn, given the price point there. So some other leak ships that were mentioned is a Grey Cat MDC, which is like the MTC but a missile variant. Additionally, there is information of an L-22 Alpha Wolf, which would be an alternative to the current L-21 Wolf. That appears like it will be a ship with bespoke guns, possibly. That would be it would be great if it doesn't have bespoke guns, but possibly bespoke guns that would be laser repeaters instead of the ballistic Gatlins. We also have seen leaked information about the Drake Clipper, which will be the Drake ship that would be brought out as well. So that would be a pretty interesting prospect there. And then finally, the RSI Salvager, we do know that that is something that they're still working on. I do want to pull up really quick the silhouette for the Drake ship. So this is the potentially that Drake Clipper. Hard to tell if it'll be like a heavy fighter or maybe even more of a competitor to the Corsair than I originally anticipated, but I do think it'll be possibly smaller. Maybe it might be the medium variant for, obviously they have the Cutlass series, but getting a slightly bigger ship that would be kind of similar to the Zeus and the CLs and the C1 and the A1, things of that nature. It'd be interesting to see them offer a bigger ship than the Cutlass Black series that can be competitive in that medium to getting to be large segment. They're still unknown about the Consolidated Outland. I don't think any news here really describes any of that. So the Consolidated Outland options, you do see again SU boxes, and I don't know what this is meant to be here. I still think this could potentially be a medium salvager. Some are kind of mentioning this could be the RSI salvager. I don't think they were done with before they did the silhouette, I don't think they even finished with the idea of what the salvaging ship would be for the RSI. I think they were still working through a lot of the concept pictures in there. And we still have this Anvil type of ship as well, which are possible Anvil type ballista. I just call it Anvil ground vehicle. We don't know what it's going to be, and I don't think it's really included here either. I do think the other ships that I mentioned here are really outside the scope of most of these others that have been leaked so far. So again, those are the few variants that we know of. So at least 4 of them are unannounced here. 1 and 2. The first one here is final review. The second one is art complete and kind of downstream teams, which means VFX and things of that nature. So that one's basically done as well. Third one is basically done as well, as it's gone through LODO and then has to do the downstream teams. So that one's almost done. Same thing here. The fourth one is almost done as well. So all 4 of those ships looking to be coming out probably at the end of the year. They did mention that one of these is going to be the ship that is a variant. So I don't know if that variant is going to be like this picture here. I don't know if this is possibly the Drake Clipper. Up to your thoughts here. This could be where the wing comes out, because I don't know. The wing doesn't pull out this way. With the way this is, it's kind of hard to tell. This is either the Clipper or I think possibly the L-21 Wolf or L-22 Wolf. Probably more than likely the Clipper, given the gray kind of look of it. Anyways, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think down in the comments down there if you think this is the what picture do you think this is for which ship. New vehicle of Grey Cat UTV. I don't think this one will be done in time. It's entering white box. I mean, it won't take them long to do this particular ship or vehicle, I should say. And it is supposedly in the introduction for the STV. I'll look for that, put that footage in there if I can find it, but I may have a hard time finding it since it'd be a little bit older. The Grey Cat STV. But a UTV, you'll have to see that utilitarian vehicle. We'll have to see how that differs. This is very exciting, the Liberator. So the Liberator is in pre-production, which means it's not really in white box, but it's getting kind of concept, if you will. Not really reconcept, it's pre-production. It's prepping the final, like, hey, this is what we're doing with this ship, and these are some of the assets we're going to use. They've done a lot of work on the different Anvil ships. I'm tempted to do a video series of each of the different manufacturers and probably trying to highlight which of those might be interested in picking up CCUs and just talking about the state of those ships. And the Anvils where I actually wanted to start. I've found out that when I look back at my fleet and the ships that I purchased, I find out I'm more of an Anvil fanboy than I originally intended. That being said, so it'll be exciting to see what the Liberator looks like. I suspect, or I hope, that they come out with it with the refueling carrier gameplay stuff that they're wanting to do. So that'll be very exciting to see if they can get that done. I'm looking forward to that, and ideally they can get that done in time. We don't know when they're going to release that feature, but Fleet Week would be great. But they're already going to have probably the Ironclads, so they may hold on to it. I hope they don't wait all year for it. But we do have information as well on the Kraken, which is in white box. So continue through white box. So I can see this coming out next IAE. Would love to see the Liberator before then, ideally. But maybe they'll release it some other time. I mean, it could be like the Perseus right now, where they release it, or they could do it in November or something for next year's CitizenCon or something. But I look forward to getting the Liberator in hand. Again, talking about the Anvil ships, most the Mark IIs are all only about a little over a year old now, I think. At least some of them, like the Tracker just recently came out, as well as the Ghost. So some of the newer ones are still new. The Terrapin released this time last year. So the Terrapin was reworked, but the Terrapin Medic just came out last year. So it's about a year old. But there's assets there. Obviously, the Paladin and the Asgard are relatively new ships. They've done a little bit reworking on the Valkyrie, not as much as I'd hoped. But like the Asgard is still miles ahead of where the Valkyrie probably should be. But that's 3 ships, alone, that series of great assets they could probably use again. And if the Paladin assets make their way in, that kind of vibe, that military vibe makes its way into Liberator, I think that's going to be a killer ship and probably make them a fair amount of money at the end of the day. So Liberator, the whole B, are options of ships that you may want to consider, as well as they talked previously about the Getak Raylan. So you may want to look out for those 3 ships getting CCUs, as all of those are either in pre-production or move their way through. Obviously, the whole B is already in white box. So be mindful of that, and those are maybe CCUs you may want to pick up during IAE, as their price will increase once they actually release out a concept. North America team is working on 2 ships as well. One of them kind of final review, while the other is in gray box. The North America team has consistently worked on RSI ships, so I think it's not improbable to think that the RSI Hermes, aka the Apollo cargo variant, and or the RSI salvage ship, RSI Salvation is what people are kind of, I think that might be in the files as well. So it's possible we might see some of those ships coming out, and the North America team working on those. So I mean, the other 4 that were listed here are separate from those 2. So that Grey Cat MDC, the Drake Clipper, that Kruger Wolf, that's at least already 3. I don't quite know what the 4th one, but again, we had the Consolidated Outlands and that Anvil ground ship that haven't really been talked about. So that's kind of a lay of the land of what we have. Obviously, the Perseus is basically done. They're testing it a lot in-house, which is cool. But I think that's been done for a while. They're just holding on to it for a couple more weeks, right? So we should start seeing that in a couple weeks' time, right? We'll start seeing that in PTU, and then ultimately we'll see it in our hands during possibly as early as November 20th, maybe sooner than that, depending upon when they actually release that patch. And then again, I already mentioned the white boxes continue for the Kraken. So looking forward to that as well. So yeah, that's pretty exciting news across the board, and I hope you all enjoy it. Thank you all for checking out the video. I appreciate those taking the time to like and subscribe, and catch you all next time. Peace.